to today Collab with Academy webinar. It's Friday. We have webinars every first Friday of every month with community members from our platform NoCo Collab with. Today we have the webinar How to do Digital Transformation in Africa from Experience from the Field with Emmanuel Mudo Gemuka. He is member of the NoCo Collab with platform, and he is working on doing digital transformation from fintech and telecom in Africa. Welcome, Emmanuel.
Welcome. Thank you very much, Yala, and welcome everyone. I can see Cecilia. How are you?
Fine.
Yes. So I'm excited to present this webinar. I think this is my second or my third webinar, and I'm happy to really share my experience that I've gained from working on digital transformation project in Africa. Yes. So today on the agenda, given that it's a bit a different topic, it's like focusing on Africa. So we have an introduction, and then we have a little bit discussion on Africa, so that we all understand the context and the background. And then we will have a why do we even need to do digital transformation in Africa or everywhere else? Then I will propose my own roadmap, which I think that's what should be what we should do to really make digital transformation sustainable. And then we have a little bit of question and answers session. And so just to make it clear for everyone, this is not a presentation, this is a discussion. So it is an interactive. You can jump in and ask questions or provide any comment anytime during the presentation. Yes, we go to the next slide. Yes, so just to remember that this is a presentation, this is a webinar through NoCo Collab with, and maybe I should share my personal comment on my personal passion for NoCo Collab with. I know NoCo Collab with because I went to the same business school as Yana. We were at LSM, and that's how we get to know each other. And a passion for entrepreneurship really struck me, and then we have been friends and also business partner in the brackets on that side. So I've been part of NoCo Collab with. So what NoCo Collab with is for me, it gives me a sense of belonging and like a collaboration or a platform. As a consultant, most of the time I work from my home, and mostly you can understand I'm based in Europe, but I work mostly in Africa. So NoCo Collab with gives me a platform or a way of connecting with other people, connecting people in Europe or other countries, sharing experience, expertise, and also whenever I need support and help, I can always reach out to NoCo Collab with members, and then I will not need to really reinvent the wheel, as they say. Yeah, so that's my personal feedback or something why I really know NoCo Collab is a good platform for me and probably for other people or other members. If we go to the next slide, maybe I would like to introduce myself. And yes, that's my photo. Yes, so I'm a consultant. I'm based in The Hague, and I work for a company called PhD Development, which is based in The Hague. So I'm mostly I work from home and work on a project in Africa. And technically, I've worked on several projects off site, like only working on them remotely, but on site, which when I go really on the field, I think for the last 5 years, I have worked in 10 countries, ranging from North Africa to West Africa Southern Africa, Central Africa, and East Africa. So practically, I have covered all the region of Africa. And so I have I speak fluently. I work fluently in English or French, depending on the region. And then my focus area is digital transformation, developing strategy, conducting market research, implementation, and support to the team. Sometimes just remote work, and sometimes is being embedded in a team, like the last project I finished in end of February, where I've been working with a team or in a company for 6 months. And sometimes it's a 2-year project where I support offsite, and then sometimes I go on the field to align with the team. So as I explained, I work for PHB Development, which is a consulting company based in Belgium, which focuses on financial inclusion. And we work mainly with international institutions and implement their technical support for projects in Africa, focus mainly Africa and Asia, with some presence in Eastern Europe and Latin America. But our main focus is Africa and Asia Pacific. And as myself, personally, my focus is on Africa, both Francophone and Anglophone Africa. So before coming to Europe, my background was always in financial services. I worked in Rwanda. That's where I am. That's where I was born. And then I worked for 8 years in financial services institution. Okay. Maybe as an introduction to the audience, so I've talked about myself. And so before we go to the next slide, I would like to really to know more about our day. And we do it as an exercise. Maybe if everyone can tell the names and then a little bit about them. And then as a question, how well do you know Africa? Yes. Yala, do you want to start?
Yeah, we'll start. I am Jara. I am running the Collabwith platform. And I only went to Africa in South Africa. And it was a very nice surprise to see how important it is to build a relationship with the South African people to be able to do business. So relationship and business is very linked, which means maybe not friendship, but just relationship. And as well, how important for them is to have a transaction, a value transaction from one to other. And it was very important to see for me, like even people who had maybe no resources, they were able to say, no, we have to make a transaction. If you give me value, I provide you value. And for me, it was an eye-opening because here in Europe, sometimes it's not this easy. And it was very nice to see this.
Very interesting. You practically don't know Africa because you have only been one country out of 54 countries. Yes. But at least you have been there. Yes. It's a start. It's a start. Yes. Yes. So, okay. Next one, Cecilia.
Yeah, I was in Tunisian and also in South Africa. Only in Cape Town last year. And I was surprised. It's a different style from Tunisian to South Africa, I mean. And yeah, but I was in holidays. I don't know for business, but I think could be very interesting. Your conference, what you say about this?
Yes. I know. I mean, I've never been to Cape Town, but I've been to Johannesburg. And also I've been to Tunisia. It's a little bit, there is a contrast, but also there is an interesting comparison where you see where the pace of moving for the two countries.
I'm very curious.
Yeah. Yes. Next one, Christian.
Hi, my name is Christian. I'm working for a telecommunication company with some of our customers being in Africa. I'm in the fraud detection business, which means that we help local mobile operators detect people who misuse their network, and and we have a product which detects fraud in mobile money transactions. So something which is very popular in Africa again. So our main market that is there, and I'm actively looking for people in that business who want to try out our solution. So yeah, I've been to Africa as a consultant and operations engineer twice, both times in two countries which are very close to each other, Benin and Togo. That was last year.
Fantastic.
So yeah, looking forward to this.
So you were in Cotonou in Benin.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
In both countries. Yeah.
So, yeah, I know they have been to Benin. It's a really fantastic country. Yes.
Yeah. I enjoyed the experience very much, but from others in my company, so from the partners and from employees, I think they are mostly based in North Africa, and I think they're also one or two in sub-Saharan countries. Yeah. So that's more or less it.
Yes,
This is what
I
we're doing.
see, and probably to complement on that, it's a trend I've seen mostly some companies, usually small or like not really that large companies, but other companies prefer to set up a hub in North Africa, Morocco or Tunisia, then which will be supporting the companies in Sub-Saharan Africa. While now large companies like Google and other, they are now more focusing setting up offices in Nairobi than focusing on Africa. Yes, we have
I have to say that indeed it's a small company of only 150 people, out of which I would say 5 are based on the African continent.
Okay. Yeah. It's nice to have you on the audience, Christian. Next one is Francis. Francis, are you on the line? I think you're on mute. Okay, maybe you should go to the next one. We have Manel. Manel, we have Morgan, Sylvia, and
Here. Morgan here.
yes. Morning, Morgan. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for hosting this seminar, Emmanuel and Yara. So my name is Morgan. My background is operational management and engineering end-to-end within the fashion and textiles industry. And I also have an online platform that helps highly educated young professionals take their next steps in their careers and teach financial literacy. And I have been to Africa, only to South Africa during the MBA, to Johannesburg and Pilanesberg, and to Northern Africa, to Morocco, to Casablanca, and to some parts of different parts of Egypt. So I'm really looking forward to this seminar to learn more about the subject matter.
Yes, very interesting. Yes, thank you very much. Very interesting locations, Morocco, Egypt. And yes, so next one, who is available on the call? Is Manela, Sylvia, Saulani, ready to introduce themselves to us?
Sudhanshu here. Yara, Emmanuel, thanks for hosting the call, guys. Now, I just joined and just received a message from Yara, so I said I should join and hear what you have to say about South Africa and digitalization there. And of course, as you know, the last time I went to South Africa was with you guys for the study trip to MBA. So lovely. I can't keep my phone unmute for long. Otherwise, you would hear either baby shark or my son crying. But at work, I'm leading the robotics and artificial intelligence center of expertise for ING Bank here in Netherlands.
Nice to have you on the call. Yes, I see Sylvia is now has unmuted. Do you want to say something, Sylvia, before we continue? I don't think there is anyone else who wants to introduce. Maybe we should go to the next.
I don't know if you can listen, if you can hear me, here Manuel Fradera from World Sensing. So thank you, first of all, for the webinar you are hosting right now. And then I am a sales solution manager in World Sensing. As I said, World Sensing, we are a company based in Barcelona, in Spain. And so we are focused in smart city solutions all around the world. And for my part, I've been in Africa sometimes. I've been, well, either for tourism or for business sometimes. So I've been in Morocco, I've been in Congo, I've been in Rwanda also, and then in Namibia and South Africa. So I've been there in the past in other companies working in some nice projects. And so now we in World Sensing, we are not working right now with South African countries, only some North African countries such as Egypt and Morocco. And so we are exploring how to approach other opportunities in the continent.
Wow, very interesting. You are practically an expert on Africa. Yes, thanks, Manel. Yeah, so probably should go to the next slide so that we can have more time to discuss. Yes, so as you heard from the experience from the panel, the people in the audience, there are several countries in Africa, and just provide background, there are 1.3 billion people in Africa. And usually when you look at it, so where the slide is, you can see I put two maps to provide some background, some information. Usually geographically or in economic terms, Africa is divided into 5 regions. There is what they call the North Africa, which is mostly the countries that speak Arabic, and then we have the West Africa, the Central Africa, the East Africa, and then the Southern Africa. And so usually, though it is more geographically, but also on the way business are conducted are a little bit different from those regions. So as you see, it's really a large continent, 54 countries. And you look at the next map, basically you see really a diverse continent. That's showing the language in Africa, the official language, the main language that is spoken in the countries. On the blue countries, these are the countries that are officially francophone, or people where the French is the main language, or the official language. And just provide a background, more context. Like you take a country like Ivory Coast, though it's listed as a French francophone country, because that's the main national language. We have other native language, but the common language spoken around the country is French. But other people will have their own languages. And as you can see, there are 1,400 plus native languages in Africa. So now we have French, we have Arabic, which is mainly the main language. And then we have English from mostly East Africa down to Southern Africa. We have practically 3 Portuguese-speaking countries, the green one, Angola and Mozambique. Then we have like 2 countries where the official language is Spanish, Equatorial Guinea, and I think also if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so as you see, sometimes it's a challenge to move, to really do any work in different regions of Africa. yes, French and English may be enough, but sometimes when you go to some rural areas, you need really a translator because yes, though we have these languages, you still have to speak. If you still want to speak to people, most of the time they are not really conversant with these international languages. Yes, so we go to the next, even the topic of this discussion. Why do we, why in African context, and particularly on my own focus, which is financial services, why do we need digital transformation? Why is it the trend in Africa? Why everyone is talking about it? From the international donors, international financial institutions, and then UN, and then even in everyone. Yeah. So we have seen Africa is a large continent with several countries, and then unlike some other countries, there are a lot of people, or a big segment of the population that lives in rural areas or in non-urban areas. And whereas we have really large, we have seen in the emergence of large financial services group. Here I've put two examples on the logo on top. You see EcoBank. EcoBank is really being one of the largest in Africa, in what they call the Africa between the South African part. So you remove the northern part, but also you remove South Africa. So in that middle Africa, EcoBank is one of the largest. And then you see Equity, which is disrupting the market with their innovation and their technology. But whereas we have this and other institutions, and usually whenever you go to most of cities in Africa, you have everything you need for in terms of financial services. You can use your credit card, you can use a debit card to pay in most hotels, in most restaurants, everything. But then when you see the mass market, the large part of the population, there seems to be either excluded or underserved. Meaning even though they may have account, they may not really get enough services or even have access to the basic financial services, being banking or insurance, pension, or other services. One of the reasons is given that so banks are mostly or financial institution based in cities, just because it makes more sense for them in terms of return on investment. They have been usually using brick and mortar model where they do it branches and people come to serve the branches. But the problem is now when you go outside the main cities where the density is low, where even the purchasing power is low, the economies of serving the customers become more difficult because now it's low. You invest a lot, but the return is low. And here, as you can see on the graph, I've been trying to see one of the studies that was done how to approach the market for the bottom of the pyramid. The people who earn, usually they are defined people who earn less than $2, and some area they say less than $1 per day. So the issue is, some institutions have tried to do the volume. So say, okay, let's go to bring everyone in the system so that maybe we'll be earning less money, but then on the volume will be compensated. But then the issue that I have been facing is, yes, you invest a lot, but then the cost of the acquiring those customers and the cost of serving the customers become so large that yes, maybe the economies or the scale that expected don't add up. The figures don't add up. And then some institutions have been saying, okay, maybe we should really stay or focus on corporate customers or large or high net worth or middle class customers because it's more easier and more cheaper to do so. But while they're doing that, there is competition. There's technology that is coming. We have seen telecom companies entering financial services. I will give you an example. In Kenya, when you go to East Africa, you don't need a bank to do financial services. You can use your mobile bank, your mobile account to have a money account, which now you can use to pay, transfer, and do transactions. And then even there's the competition growing, large corporate, large bank targeting the same customers, then it becomes difficult because the number of corporate customers don't increase exponentially as this number of institutions are increasing. So then the issue becomes everyone is competing for the same customer, but then those customers are limited. So now everything has brought in, and now the latest technology whereby you can do the same services using cheaper technologies. For example, that we give an example from what they do in telecoms, whereby you can use your mobile account to do financial services, or whenever the telecom sell their services through agent. The banks also have been doing the same. So you see, you're having a tablet so that now they can open accounts on behalf or do services on behalf, and so on. So new opportunities have made with the technology, and everybody's saying, you know what, we have to digitalize, we have to develop these tools because they are allowing us to get to the same customers where we can't get them using traditional methods. That's brick and mortar. So the name of the game becomes, yes, we need to also digitalize, we need to have to go through the same trend, we need to have mobile banking, which is basically having your banking services on your phone. The others say we need to go through agents banking for provide an explanation. When in Africa there's agents banking is whereby instead of going to urban Amlo, you can go to Albertine and then do your transaction, open account at Albertine, but for urban Amlo. So Albertine becomes like an agent. So what urban Amlo will provide is just a small POS which can do all the activities that a normal bank do. With that, the bank can also grow their network, go everywhere. And yeah, so all of that becomes a challenge. And then because there were new technology provided with really, which were providing big opportunities, everyone was told or was said, oh, we need to go there, or we are going to lose market share, or we are going to be lost because new emerging players were coming in the market. Now, now we have even some fintechs in Africa which don't have a branch, but provide loans or digital credit or digital savings through a mobile application or internet banking without having the bank, sometimes they have the license. And then the incumbent banks or social insurance companies found out themselves that, oh, we are being lost, or we are losing the market, we are losing the fight. As more also we're talking about banking, is the same also for insurance. Some companies say, oh, we shouldn't be just focusing on having a branch where people come and pay premium for a car or for a house. Maybe we can provide medical insurance, people pay by their mobile phone. I'll give you an example. In Kenya, they introduced a new treasury bond, whereby instead of buying through the normal banking broker traditional method, you can subscribe using your mobile application, which is a simple application using USSD. You don't need even internet to be subscribed on that, and it has been a success. So all of these are pushing everybody to say, okay, this is a game-changing times, so we need to innovate or we need to develop. But what we have seen, though everybody is pushing, everybody is investing, there is everybody raising money to invest in this project. At the same time, there are international funders also providing technical assistance, which is basically the area we are in. Then everybody is investing. But suddenly, when we look back, we see, okay, some companies or some institutions have really succeeded, but others are struggling despite having the right skills, the right technology, the right people, and investing a lot of money. And then we ask ourselves, what's wrong? What's happening? Why did some companies or some institutions succeed when whereas others are not succeeding? How did Equity Bank, which was a building society in Kenya, is more like a company that provides small loans for the members. Now, how did it transform itself to become a large disrupting bank, which said and which now combine the banking and also it's all these questions that ask ourselves. And then from there, we say, maybe let's propose or let's do a review and say, what should be done or how should companies approach the digital transformation? At this time, before we go to the next slide, maybe I'll provide the floor to the participants to make any comments, question, or feedback. Because I think I'm talking alone or too long. Yes. Thank you.
Question or comment? Yes. So I see here, if we go to the bottom of the period market chart, we're talking about that revenues will rise more steeply than costs, but it applies only in certain conditions. So in this case, I was curious if we can talk, or you could tell us a little bit more about these certain conditions that you notice that have been that are evident for this market, for the market, in terms of digitization.
Yes, thank you for the question. I'll provide probably an answer, or I will share my own experience based on what I've seen. So most of the time, I mean, it's really focused on the right technology or the right solution, which is fitting or responding to a clear need of the customer. Because most of the time you see, okay, oh, we have this technology, we want to make it work. And then this is how we're going, this is how it has worked in the markets, this is how we're going to work. So in most of the time where I've seen the revenue really grow, it has been based on certain factors or certain conditions that what the company was providing was really matching what the customer needed. So the product, services, or the channel was responding to a clear need, and they were responding to a pain point whereby the customer were suffering. I'll give an example. I saw a project in Western Africa whereby an institution or the customer were really transferring money using the customer will have issues transferring money because there was most of the people live in the city, then they leave their family in rural areas. Now, to transfer money to those people, how do you do it if there is no transfer services? They were using bus drivers, and they were losing money along the way. So when these fintech, they provided a platform which is secure and also convenient for customers. They can withdraw anytime, they can receive money anytime, and also they can have the services in their area of where they are located. So in this case, the product was needed and was responding to a critical need. So with that condition, usually you see the growth really happening. But on the other side, sometimes companies assume that, yes, if we have the channel, customer will come. The problem is in the bottom of the pyramid, the people, they have limited purchasing power, and then have limited capacity. So whenever their choice of how the decision making is very simple. If they don't understand or if they don't see the value, they don't waste their time. So in some countries, in some projects I've seen, okay, the volume were increasing, but at some point, because the customer were not seeing really why they were using the channel or why the value of using the product services, then they say, okay, there is no point because those people are living on less than $2 per day. So there is too many competing needs for their money. And then if really you are not providing a good, clear value for money, there is the volume will not increase as the cost used to run the service. I'm not sure if I've really tried to explain the question.
That answers the question.
Emmanuel, I have a question for you. How do you discover the real needs of the people?
Yes, so now it's the next slide. Maybe we should start that slide. Yeah. So usually what I recommend whenever I discuss with my potential customers and institutions, because most of them come to us, the company, with a clear objective. Oh, we want to do mobile banking, we want to do business banking, we do this. But usually we recommend them, yes, first of all, because they want to do because someone came to them selling the technology or the solution. But usually it becomes the issue like, I have the solution, figure out how it can fit in your business. But we usually recommend them, it has to be first the strategy and the goal of the decision, and then what you really are trying to achieve as a decision and the market you are trying to achieve. And then you figure out the technology. That's now the side where we recommend the decision to start with the strategy, to define really the strategy, what's even before talking about technology, where the institution want to go, which customer segment do they want to really target. Do we, if I'm a corporate institution, do I want to focus on corporate customers? Or do I want to go through for the mass market and have everyone as a customer? Because maybe that's what will make money for me. So once that is decided, then we usually recommend the institution to do a market research, which is something you do outside of the office. You don't sit in the office and decide what the customer wants or the customer needs. You have to go on the ground, really talk to the people, the new people who need those services. If it's the youth, if you are developing the youth product or even employment product, you need to speak to them because they know what they want, they know their needs. You need to understand their needs, you need to understand their expectations, you need to understand the pain point and what they need to improve their situation. Remember, because if you are not improving their lifestyle, their situation, or their business, then there is no need for your service. So you usually recommend to do a human-centered design. This is an approach which is a little bit different from traditional market research where you just ask question people. It's more like you really work with people, try to understand their way of life, understand their goals, objectives, their even motivation, and then from there try to understand have insight of what is the problem, what the main pain point, and if there's opportunity that, oh, if I solve these issues, if I provide the solution, then probably I can make the product of the outcome. So when you go to the market, so you do focus, you travel all over the country, you figure out what it is needed, you see the trend, you analyze what the data, you talk to different experts, everyone. Then from that, you also do internal research. You analyze the companies because most of the time, I've seen companies, yes, they figure out what the market needs, but they didn't understand what they can offer and or how it does fit with their strategy or their goal objective, then or their culture, and then the product or the offering end up being fought by or excluded or having issues with the management or the people internally because it conflicts with the company natural or usual culture or expectation of doing business. And so when you have done all these two, such as internal and external, then you develop a strategy, you develop a business case, and the business case taking into consideration all the critical points and experience, expenses and revenues. And from my experience, usually it takes a lot of time to really do a good business case because most of the information is just new. But usually when you have done your work, usually you have an idea if this is going to make money or even does meet your goals, objectives or not. And some of the time, whenever I do a business case, most of the time I tell them, you know what, you should stop this project because this and this, it doesn't meet what you are expecting or what the cost is bigger than the revenue. Because yes, it's easier to be blinded by the trend and by the jargon rather than by the actual realities of the business. Then you have the business case and also the go-to-market strategy how to approach the market. You have it now to select or develop the solution. Sometimes you develop it yourself, or sometimes you buy it from other companies, partners, and then the next phase will be implementation. Most of the time, people have really unrealistic expectation because they think it's a plug-in play solution. I mean, most people think like it's like buying Microsoft Office, because most of the time we have seen the sort of project, it takes, people expect 6 months, and most of the time it takes 12 months or 1 year or 2 years, just because you have different technology in-house, then trying to integrate with a new technology become really less difficult. So one of the key really important is to understand it's a change management project, and you need to build relationship, you need to build momentum or support for the management of the board, institution, everyone, so that you can really, even the regulatory institution, so that you can be assured that you have support as you go along. And most of the time, you don't get it right for the first time. You try, and then you try, you adjust, you iterate, and you continue innovation, and you make sure that everybody is on board. Because otherwise, people who have short-term expectation end up saying, "Oh, this is a waste of time. This is a waste of money. We should, instead of wasting this money, we should be maybe doing this and that." But this is a long-term project. It's a long-term vision because the digitalization is for long-term vision and long-term benefits rather than short-term. You need to build capacity. You need to bring on board everyone who is making decision-making person, so that you can make sure you can be assured that you will succeed. And as you are implementing, you really need to always have foot on the ground so that you understand the reaction or the feedback from the customer, so that you can incorporate into agile product success and adjust so that you can fill the market. Yes, so yeah, now this brings to our back to the question answer session. Maybe I don't know, Yala, if I respond to your question. So if there is another question.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Yes, I think you expressed the importance to understand the people and the needs, and to observe them, how they are doing things, to be able to find maybe the solution they can apply from finance perspective to them, and to do prototypes and testing and design the product together with them. This is the case, Emmanuel. So to have more open mindset and to have the budget to create this service or product when you don't know which kind of service or product will be.
Yes, technically that's what have been successful to prototype the people, to really present them so that they can adjust, and also adjusting there and there and working with them. I would give an example. Sometimes people use what they call financial dailies methodology, whereby you get like a team of people and they spend visiting the same customers over a year, collecting data on their financial habits, so that now from the financial habits you develop projects, you develop services they will need, and let alone you iterate, you prototype, then you improve. Yes, that's basically the same thing.
Emmanuel, you mentioned now, like, you can get data not only on the ground, observing the people, but as well from the data you can collect from the digital tools about the behavior and the transactions they are doing, to understand the behavior and then to create new products?
Yes, yes. Sometimes it's more like even a collaboration. I will give an example of a successful project where a bank in East Africa, basically most bank in East Africa, they are partnering with telecoms. You know, telecom, they have data on mobile phone usage, how much data, how much airtime do we buy, how many people do we call. So from data from the telecom, they can build a profile. But telecom are not banks, so they can't provide savings or loans. So they partner to bank and then created a joint project whereby now using those data, they can really keep a score, then you get a loan from the bank on mobile phone, which is an instant loan. If you have any issues, so like if you want to pay school fees and they don't have money, you can apply for that loan, and then I think in less than 1 minute you are approved and get that. So they use data from airports or the same thing like data from the central bank, data from the public data available. We try to really get the whole context or picture when you are making a decision.
So, Emmanuel, you are saying like already the banks and the financial industry, they are collaborating with the telecom industry for data, to exchange data.
Come again?
So my question is if already there is a collaboration between telecom,
Yes.
finance and banking on the data.
Yes, so there's collaboration between banks and telecoms, collaboration between telecoms and financial insurance companies. There is collaboration between agriculture support institutions, banks, or financial institutions. So there are different partnerships that are making, and also fintech trying to use different data to really collaborate and make use of those available data.
Mm-hmm. So the other question is, even if you have this data from the tools, it's very important as well to go to the countries and to the ground. You want to implement a new product or service. So it's a combination, has not to be one or the other. You know, from the data you are getting from the ground, observing the people, the data you are getting from the digital tools. So it's a combination of both to create a new product and service.
Yeah, so usually it's very important to use all available data. Sometimes they are digital, but sometimes they are not digital, and that's usually where now you use qualitative interviews, trying to talk to people to understand the context, background. And sometimes you even you create your own digital data. I give an example outside the financial services, whereby now we have been partnering with APG support organization, whereby we collect data using mobile phone from the activities of refugees, so that in the future we can develop products for financial services for refugees. So it's really the key is to make sure that you understand the financial habits or the financial needs of the customer, irrespective of where you get the data. And most of the time, digital data are more comprehensive than physical data, but also physical data are really important to understand or to really validate the assumptions.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
I have a related question.
Yes.
So I can imagine that since you mentioned design thinking and thinking from the perspective of the customer, as well as in implementation, that with prototyping, there has to be some room for failure. Like your product might not be perfect yet, you might have to adjust it. So, which is more an agile way of working and different than maybe how many paradigms we have, ways of working were in the past. So I was just wondering, how open are collaborators with this new way of working and new way of approaching the digital transformation, and what helps them make the case to understand that they shouldn't only use the data, but also observe their client, and that there should be room for changing the product to really meet the customer need later on in the process as they're developing it.
Yes, Morgan, thank you for the question, and I think it's really a key or an issue we have been seeing most of the time. So I would suggest, like, whenever, even for personally, whenever I don't have the support of the management or the board, usually it's not recommended, because then it becomes really difficult. Because if you have to have a culture or support of people who knows that this is an innovation project, and then most of the time you get it wrong, but you have to adjust and then adjust until you figure out. So they really, and as we have seen, the institutions that have been disrupting the market, they have management or the board of directors who are really willing or ready to implement change or to really innovate and improve the business, so, or to disrupt the market. That's the same case I'm giving, and for example, or Equity Bank in Kenya, the way they have been approaching and doing. And for example, even when you go through their reports, the product they have been launching, there are several cases of projects that have failed, but they have a good attitude whereby say, yeah, we implement, if it doesn't go, we adjust, we figure out along the way. And of course, in some institutions, it's not that open. I've seen some cases, and most of the time, institutions or projects that are more led by the donors than the institution itself. So, like, for example, whereby there is a BFI institution or a Ghana company or institution that providing grant to implement the digital transformation, but then the institution, they went in without really understanding what the impact you have on the company. So most of the time you really implement those projects, but then you hear that people are more focused on, or they don't even believe in that. I'll give you an example. We developed a product whereby we were developing an interface for a mobile application for a digital loan or savings. And then we end up, because the people in the institution, everybody wanted to have a decision or a say. And the problem became like, yes, the application was good, but it was too good for the users. Unless there's another question, I've explained the application model. So you can take the floor and raise the question.
Thank you, Emmanuel. You can put the last slides now, because I would like to introduce you the next webinar. We will have the next Friday first Friday of the month. It's about radio frequency energy harvesting into the age of IoT devices, so Internet of Things. And will be hosted by Murat Eskiyerli, community member from CollabwithAcademy. And thank you very much for coming to the Friday webinar from the CollabwithAcademy. And see you next month.
Thank you very much. See you. Bye.